Ignore your Thunder Crash. This new Titan arc build lets you melt champions and bosses with a few punches to the face, regardless of the activity. Of course, the easier the activity, the easier it'll be, but this build will give you crazy stacks and buffs of melee damage, automatic health regen activation on every melee kill, and honestly, all mages and mini bosses are now essentially minor adds. We'll be using some of the new Season 14 mods and elemental wells, and I'll give you a few suggestions on how to maximize your DPS with this build in endgame activities. So guys, rate, comment, sub and share, because now we're going to start punching some ads. Firstly, as always, if you want to see more class builds like this, see the playlist link below or in the top right card section, as I do them every week. Now, as you can probably tell, this build is designed for all activities, including Legend and Master difficulty activities, but I'll tell you right now, you do need to play it smart when using this in harder activities, especially when you're underpowered. But it doesn't matter what you're playing and what adds you're fighting, you'll rip them apart quickly as long as you have your stacked buffs, which is probably the hardest part of the build when in Master Nightfalls and those sort of things, because you need to build that buff up to then pretty much supercharge your punch and insta-kill everything. We'll go through that build setup shortly, and we will be using a Wormgod Caress exotic, which you can get from Zoe on the weekends if he has it available, or from the exotic Ingram Weld loot drop. But how you'll be using this build in most activities is first kill an ad with a finisher, which will generate 2 arc elemental wells, then picking up one of those wells will make you charge a light twice, and give you ability energy and a boost to melee damage for your first hit. And this will help you kill that first tough minor ad, giving you the ×1 damage buff from the exotic. Now this is how you really want to start off when in harder activities, because you need to boost up that damage buff to be able to insta-kill master minor ads when you're underpowered. Otherwise, most of the time if you run in and start punching ads without your first buff, you'll most likely die because you can't kill the ad quick enough for the next buff to kick in, boosting damage further and triggering a health regen to restore the health you just lost in that fight. But once you have the first 2 to 3 kills, you'll be on a rampage melting pretty much everything, and once you're at a ×5 stack, your melee is going to deal almost 70,000 damage alone, without any weapons or light buffs, a tether or breach and clear debuff, a 1-2 punch shotgun, and without the arc elemental well increasing it even further. If you had all of these, I can tell you right now, it'll probably do just as much damage as a Thunder Crash or more. So yeah, just one melee hit. Crazy. But I'm not going to lie, this is kind of unrealistic and hard to achieve, as your main exotic buff only lasts 5 seconds between kills, but overall it's still going to destroy. Now if you're playing casual activities like strikes or gambit, then you really don't even need to shoot your weapon, but if you're in harder activities, use this as a backup when you're getting swarmed by ads. Don't focus on it too much or you'll just get yourself killed because you're not invincible, and you got to remember you're in activities where sure you can get your insta melee kills, but the ads can pretty much do the same to you. But you'll know when you need to go on a melee killing spree, and not just that though, every melee kill will trigger your health regen, so it really helps you in those bad situations. So taking a look at the build, starting with the loadout, you can use anything you want, there are no restrictions, but if you want to maximize your melee DPS for a bit of fun, you can use a 1-2 punch shotgun, although I don't recommend it for harder activities, whereas if you were a hunter, I would, simply because our Titan melee buff only lasts 4 seconds between kills, and it doesn't give you long to run to the boss, shoot the weapon, punch twice and repeat. It's just not reliable, but if I was going into a Master Nightfall, I'd probably just go with an Anarchy. For the subclass, we are running a bottom tree striker, code of the Juggernaut, with frontal assault, where using our melee will increase our weapon damage and reloads it, which is good if you're using rockets or grenade launchers, so you really don't need to reload as much, as you just kill an ad, then fire off all your ammo and repeat. But we also get reversal, where melee kills trigger our health regen, and this really saves you in so many different situations, and this is what allows you to just go on a melee killing spree. But moving into the armor, for the helmet we're running elemental charge to become charger light when picking up elemental wells, and then your ammo finder mods for your main heavy weapon. But for your gauntlets, we are using the Wormgod Caress exotic, where melee kills increase melee damage for a period of time, and additional kills extend the duration and increases the effect. You can get this buff to stack up to 5 times with a 4 to 5 second timer, which refreshes on melee kills, but for the mod, we're using Heal Thyself to heal us on grenade final blows, and you want to use this when you're really low on health whilst going on a melee spree, because if ads are constantly shooting at you, your health regen will stop and you'll eventually die. So this can be a lifesaver to get a little health back when you really need it. With this though, we have our champion mods, and then for the chest we're using a new Well of Iron's Elemental Well mod, which gives us increased melee damage when picking up an arc well. You can try to stack this with the ×5 exotic buff, but it will be hard as you just don't have enough time before the buff goes away. But the arc well buff will last 10 seconds, and finally with the chest we also have our ammo reserve mods for a heavy weapon. Now for the legs we have Overload Wellmaker, another new elemental well mod which spawns 2 arc elemental wells on finisher kills, and this is how you really want to start the build. Now I should mention as well that you do need to slot these mods in armor that is arc energy, but finally for the class, if you're using a grenade launcher for DPS in master activities, then slot on a breach and clear mod, as this will buff your damage to weakened bosses, and stacks with other buffs like our melee that also lasts 10 seconds. So you have plenty of time to run in and melt the boss with a buffed melee if you have one. You could also use surge detonators for overloads, but I'd personally use that when doing solo legend and master lost sectors. When you're maxing out your stats, you ideally want max resilience and or recovery. If you're playing in a season greater than season 14, adjust the artifact mods to what you have available that you feel would benefit your abilities and to deal more DPS. So my thoughts on this build, honestly, I love it. I mean, the fact that I can just run in and punch a barrier champion to death in a Legend Lost sector just shows that these builds do work if you play it right. And not just that, when I did my Legend Lost sector run, I had Overload champions, but I just threw on Overload arc grenades so I don't have to use double primary weapons, which really speeds things up a lot as you have more weapons for DPS rather than using all of your heavy ammo when you don't have Anarchy or certain exotics unlocked. But guys, that is all for this new Titan Infinite melee build. Next, you should check out the playlist as I create these every week and season for the latest new content. And don't forget to give us a try and comment your thoughts down below. For now, leave a rating, subscribe and share for more, as these take quite some time to make, and I'll see you all in the next build, because hunters, you're up next. Stay tuned.